Hey, what's up guys? This video is going to be showing how to disassemble the bolt assembly on the Mosin Nagant. Now, first, before I start the video, really, I want to give you a couple different sources to go to for great information on this gun and its history and how to use it and everything that revolves around it. First, on YouTube, there's a guy, his screen name is Iraq Veteran 8888, okay? Iraq Veteran, and there's 4 of the number 8. Definitely look him up. I got a lot of my information from him. He was probably the best resource here on YouTube for information on these guns. Second thing is, I say Mosin Nagant because that's kind of how I've heard it since I've first was introduced to the gun. But I found out that the correct pronunciation is Mosin Nagant. Silent T, and you stress the O in Mosin instead of Mosin. So I don't know if I'm going to remember that, but I'm just reading off my notes here. Mosin Nagant. So anyway, just a quick little bit of information there. This one is particularly is a 1932 9130. 30 cal round is basically where the 30 comes from, and the 91, it was created in 1891. So that's where the model number 9130 comes from. But anyway, another great reference if you want to know a lot of information about different stampings and pretty much anything about this gun, this particular type of gun, check out this website. And I'll put the links in the sidebar to both the guy on YouTube and this website. But it's simply 7.62x54r.com. It's the caliber that it shoots, the 7.62 by 54R. No www, you just put in the caliberround.com, and there's a full website, and I'm looking off to the side of my computer. They have so many different links to different parts of the website with all kinds of information. So definitely in the sidebar, both those links. The reason I'm making this video, first of all, I haven't even shot this gun yet. I haven't gotten time to go up and shoot it yet. The reason I'm showing you this is because since I first talked about this gun and showed that I got it, I had a couple people who right away went out and picked some up for themselves, and you'll find that these guns usually come caked in cosmoline, and they wanted to know how to clean it. And I told them, basically it's pretty self-explanatory. You got to just clean it off. I'm sure there's some kind of solvent you can use. I know one good tip is that if it's a hot day, you could put it inside of a plastic bag, black garbage bag or something, and just leave it out to bake in the sun. Because the cosmoline at some temperature will turn to liquid. It won't be goopy and like glue-like. It'll be a liquid, and it'll run off. It'll run out of the barrel. But for the most part, you got to get a bunch of rags and just wipe the thing down. But specifically the bolt, I had someone. I was trying to explain to someone. First thing, take the bolt out. Take the magazine. I guess base plate is what you would call it, or I don't know the specific name for it. But take that off. Clean all that stuff. And it's hard to explain in text, so I wanted to do a video on it. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to take the this part off, that I guess the follower and spring for the internal magazine, as well as taking the bolt out and disassembling the bolt. Again, all this information came from Iraq Veteran 8888. So you can watch his videos. He's very thorough in all of his videos. I subscribe to him. I'm loving watching all this stuff. But I just figured I'd show it on my channel as well, because there's a lot of people who probably don't know about his channel. So anyway, check him out. He's got great gun videos. So anyway, real quick, let me just show you. First of all, the weapon is cleared. Let me show you the bottom here as well. You can see that's empty. There's no rounds in there at all. To take this bottom piece off, you gotta bear with me. Have to kind of wheel around here on the table. But anyway, to take this off is very simple. You pinch this whole assembly together. Okay, this is where your spring power is to load the next round. You pinch the whole thing together, bring it as far up as you can, and pull out. That's it. There's a pin here, and obviously this wraps around the pin inside. Okay, so that's very easy to do. First thing you do is take that out, clean that out pretty good. I got all the cosmoline off my gun. I just re-oiled it a little bit. Any metal on metal, you want to throw some regular lubricant on there. But very easy to take off, and to put back on, pinch it back together, and just do the reverse. Put it around that screw and let go. Then you can close that. Okay, the bolt is very simple. Once the bolt is in the rearward position like this, All you got to do is hold the trigger down. Okay, obviously make sure the gun's clear before you do this, but hold the trigger down, and the bolt slides right off. It's really that simple. With the bolt, or excuse me, the trigger forward, the bolt will never fall out of the gun. Okay, but to remove it, press that all the way down, pops right out. Okay, so very, very simple. Now I can put the gun aside. Okay. Well, look, you got a little sneak preview of some gear I got here that hopefully I'll be showing soon. I didn't mean to bump the camera. This is just such a big gun. It's hard not to smack it around. Alright, so here's your bolt assembly. It seems a little complex at first on taking it apart and putting it together, and it can seem a little intimidating, but if you take your time, do it step by step, it's actually pretty easy. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put down, this is an old ripped t-shirt. I've been using this for rags for a long time. So I'm going to use this for my workspace. First of all, just so I don't get too much oil on the table, and so later in the process I'm going to need something soft to push on. Okay, so now we have our bolt assembly here, and we have our rag. What we want to do is push your bolt assembly into the rag, okay, to kind of secure it, and you want to kind of anchor this down by putting your thumb and holding it like this against the table or work surface. Okay, what we want to do now is we want to pull this charging handle back, rotate a little bit to the left, and then let it ride forward. Okay, if this bolt is upright, you can see there's an extended piece on the top here that is in line with the bolt. You want to basically, that's the 12 o'clock position. You want to pull back just a little bit, rotate it to 9 o'clock, and let it ride forward. Now when we're pulling back, be careful not to pull this little piece out of this notch. There's a long piece that rides in the back here. If you do, it's not a big deal. It just makes it a little bit harder to disassemble the parts once you do. You want to pull this back just enough so that it'll rotate but doesn't come out of this channel here. Okay, just a little tip that I picked up. Okay, so anchor this down, pull back just a little bit, rotate the 9 o'clock position, let it ride forward. Okay, now if you pull on the front here, you see that these pieces come right off. Okay, you can put those to the side for a second. Now we have our bolt and our exposed firing pin here. Okay, and then there's a spring on the inside. At this point, you can do your cleaning. You could definitely get to a lot of these parts. This is more or less for getting the cosmoline off, but obviously, down the road after you fired this a bunch of times, you might want to take it apart to clean it anyway. Alright guys, the next step here is a little tricky, but if you want to break it down further to get down to your firing pin and your spring and all that, what you want to do is push your firing pin against, I'm using my rag here, bunching it up. It's probably easier if you do this against wood, so it digs in just a little bit. It won't damage your firing pin itself, but it gives you a nice sturdy workplace, so it doesn't move around. Because basically you want to push down on this bolt, okay, so it goes down pretty far, enough to clear the top. Okay, once you push that all the way down and compress the spring, we're literally just going to rotate this around to unscrew it. Okay, goes all the way around until it unscrews or come off. As you let the pressure go, you'll see there's your bolt, there's the charging lever, there's your spring, and here's your massive firing pin. Pretty big. So that's how you get it completely disassembled. So of course you can get to all the parts if you had to replace your spring or whatever. So it's the exact opposite to put it back together. There is one very, very important step though when putting it back together, which I'm going to talk about in just a minute. But obviously just the reverse, put the spring back on. Okay, put this whole piece in here in the front. Do the reverse, push all the way down. There we go. Put this piece on, and then obviously turn it clockwise to screw it back down. Now, one of the most important parts is when you're putting it back on, to make sure that your screw head here is flush with the back, okay? And then once we do that, we're going to measure the firing pin, how much it protrudes, okay? Because this is an extremely, extremely important part. and I'll talk about that in just a minute. But first I want to see if I can get this to rotate one more time so I can get it nice and flush. Best that I can anyway. Let's see, this should be good. Okay, so now I want to test to see how much my firing pin is protruding, okay, because if it sticks out too much, you can pierce your primer, okay. Basically, it's sticking in when when you fire, it hits the primer so hard that it pierces it, and then all that hot gas, okay, is going to blow back into your face, okay, and it's going to be very dangerous. Scary at the least. Worst case scenario, you just get really scared, or excuse me, best case scenario, you get really scared. Worst case scenario, you get very injured. So it's very important to not let that stick out too much, and also you don't want it to stick out so little that it's not going to actually hit the primer or puncture it or dent it enough to actually fire the round. So there's a fine balance. I'm going to show you how to check for that in just a minute here. But next thing you want to do is put on this piece. Okay, slide this just like so. Now you want to make sure, if you see the back here, there's a little block or square, and this goes in that channel. Okay, so when you're putting this on, make sure that that this goes over that channel. Okay, just like that. So you see there? I'll take it back off, and I'll show you that again real quick. Firing pin goes through this hole right here, and just make sure when you push it all the way down that that goes through the channel. Okay, now that you have this piece on, you need to put the last piece on the front here. Now you can see one has a little hole, one side is a big hole. The big hole goes to the back. Obviously the little hole is where your firing pin is going to poke through. Okay, then on the side here you have the ejector that grabs onto the rim. But anyway, you can see on the back there's a channel here. And if you kind of look at this really close, you can kind of understand what part goes to what, but there's a little tiny nub in here. So this is not going to go on, okay, unless the channel lines up with that nub, okay, which is right over here. Okay, so now you can see that obviously goes in, but it's very important that on the top piece there's also a little square sticking out here. That has to go into that channel, okay, on the front. See how that fits in that channel? I'll show you that again. Let's take this piece off. Okay, when this piece goes on, very important it goes around that square. When you put the top piece on here, it's very important that little square goes on the front into that notch. Okay, so when you put your bolt back together, two things you want to check is first that square is in that notch, and that this square here is in that notch or cut out. Okay, those two are very important. Okay, now what you can do is, before you actually lock this back, you can see that that's how much your firing pin is going to protrude. Okay, and the way to measure this, you're going to probably get a whole packet of stuff when you get your gun. You're going to get like an accessory pouch and some tools and stuff. This is one of the multi-tools that comes with it. You can do a lot of different things for your gun with this tool. But one of the most important things on this tool is these two little notches in the middle. See, there's 4 notches. 1, 2, 3, 4. The 2 in the middle are how you measure your firing pin protrusion. Okay, the first notch from the tip is the smaller one. Okay, now when you put this like this on the face, you want to put the firing pin in that notch. The firing pin should be a little bit bigger than that notch. Okay, so it can't sit flush. It has to be bigger than this notch so that it will hit the primer hard enough to actually fire the round. However, the second notch next to it, it cannot be longer than that. Okay, if it's longer than that, you need to back it off, because then it's too much. It might pierce the primer. So also you'll notice there's a flathead screwdriver on here. You can flip this around, and you can actually put this in here to adjust the firing pin a little bit if you needed to. Okay, but if you notice, my firing pin, I mean, I don't have good detail here, but if you could see, it's a little bit bigger than the first notch, but smaller than the second notch, so it's perfect. Now if you look on the back, when they put this bolt together, they put a little scratch in the back part here. How good you can see that. If I can let me get the focus. You know what? Going to the old trusty jeweler's loop. This thing always bails me out because my camera has horrible detail, but anyway, if you see, there's a scratch that scratch lines up perfectly with the flat notch in the screw. Okay, and that's the reason they put that little scratch in there, to give you a quick little estimated or rough estimate as to where that needs to be. Now, because my firing pin's perfect there, I can see that matches up. Everything's good. At this point, you want to put everything against your work surface, hold your bolt again, and we're going back to the 12 o'clock position. Okay. Again, this is in the 9 o'clock. We want to just pull it back a little bit, rotate it to the top, and it clicks in. And that's it. Jiggle it around, make sure everything's nice and tight. Again, double check, make sure that notch is in there, or that piece is in that notch, and then the piece is in this notch in the back. Okay? And that's it. Now you can get your gun back up here. Show you that real quick. And put your bolt back. Very simple to do. It will override the piece here. Let me show you this. When you pull the trigger, you can see this, how this piece kind of separates. Let me try to get some good lighting for you. See how that piece moves? When you're putting your bolt back on, if you hold the trigger down again, it's easier just to slip it back in. You know, there's no resistance at all. But if you were to hold it in a position that you can't just get to the trigger, I'll show you that real quick. It's still easy to kind of override that and push it through. Okay, it just goes right over the trigger, so that's not a big deal. So that's it. Hopefully the video was helpful to you. One more tip I'm going to mention. In my first video, I told you about the decocking mechanism in this gun. When you push the bolt forward and you click it once, you can pull the trigger to decock it. Just a little note on this that someone mentioned to me. I have to field test this, okay? Please do not do this with live ammunition yet. Reason being is that when you decock this, the firing pin is resting on the cartridge that's in the chamber, if you were to put one in the chamber. Okay, so obviously that could be a no-no. I have to practice this at a range, obviously in case it goes off, to see how dangerous or how safe that is. I'm going to actually practice this a couple times. I'll load a round, click it in the first position, decock it, then I'll eject the round and actually look at it to see if there's any indentation on the primer. If there's even the tiniest bit of indentation, I would definitely not suggest doing that, because that's dangerous. So just something I want to show you real quick. So there it is. Probably a lengthy video, but you know, hopefully it wasn't too confusing. I'm not a professional at this. Like I said, I just basically copied the information that Iraq veteran 8888 had in his video. I just want to get the word out, and like I said, make my own video on it so that you know, you guys can see it. So that's it. All you need for this task is this little multi-tool thing. Very important. If you didn't get one of these with your gun, pick one up. You can probably find one at a military surplus store. You'll probably find it on eBay. You know, look around. I'm sure it's next to nothing. It's probably less than $5. I'm sure for $20 you can get the whole kit. But this is very important. You do want to make sure that you measure your firing pin protrusion, because like I said, you know, if it's off, if it's too low, you're not going to be able to fire the rounds. It's not going to hit it hard enough. And if it's sticking out too much, you know, you can get all that hot gas in your face, and that's not going to be pretty. So anyway, that's it. That is the disassembly of the bolt, or bolt assembly in the Mosin Nagant 9130. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.